Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the regular scheduled council meeting of November 6th, Wednesday, November 6th. Let the record show that all councilors are present with the exception of Councilor Jennifer Hoffman-Sockman. At this time, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, we will welcome Mr. Hatfield as a new officer with the City of Hibbing. Having been duly appointed as a police officer for the City of Hibbing, do hereby solemnly swear that I will defend, enforce, and obey the Constitution of the United States and the laws of the state of Minnesota. I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties as a police officer to the best of my ability, so help me God. Congratulations. Okay, at this time, there are no adds and deletes. We'll move to approval of the agenda. Wishes of the council.
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Councilor Whitney.
Support.
Support by Councilor Schweberger. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Move on to approval of minutes. Approve the minutes of Hibbing City Council meeting of October 16th, 2024. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Councilor Bayless.
Support.
Support by Councilor Faso. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. 2, approve the minutes of the Hibbing City Council workshop of October 16th, 2024. Wishes of the council.
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Councilor Schweberger.
Support.
Support by Councilor Whitney. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Move on to the consent agenda. Approve the accounts payable dated October 25th, 2024, checks number 178545 through 178637 in the amount of $690,815.68. Approve the accounts payable of November 1st, 2024, checks number 178638 through 17817869 in the amount of $1,140,190.36. 3, approve the city payroll ending 10/25/2024 in the amount of $603,370.70. 4, approve the city sick leave bonus of 11/1/2024 in the amount of $192,460.79, $460.79. 5, authorize the Hibbing City Council to attend a town hall meeting at the Nashwauk City Hall on Tuesday, November 19th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. 6, authorize the hire of Teddy Levine for the full-time lead maintenance position with city services effective November 7th, 2024. Authorize the posting of 2 full-time city service maintenance positions. 8, authorize the posting for 2 temporary rink attendants. 9, authorize the hire of Cody Wagner for the full-time patrol officer position pending pre-employment contingencies. 10, approve the narcotics officer job description effective November 7th, 2024. 11, accept and place on file the Hibbing Police Department activity report for September 2024. 12, declare garage service truck and WCS ambulance as surplus. Authorize the Hibbing City Council to attend the Rams Annual Meeting and Dinner on December 19th, 2024 at the Iron Trails Motor and Event Center. 14, set the next Hibbing City Council meeting for Wednesday, November 20th, 2024 at 5 p.m. in the Hibbing City Hall Council Chambers. And 15, set the next City Council Workshop meeting for Wednesday, November 20th, 2024, following the regular City Council meeting at 5 p.m. Wishes of the council.
Make the motion to approve the agenda, or
We-
the consent agenda.
Consent agenda, we have a motion by Councilor Bayless,
Support.
support by Councilor Hildebrand. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. At this time, we do have a public forum, and we have one person to speak tonight, and that's Mrs. Erickson. Nancy, you will have 5 minutes, and please name and address.
My name is Nancy Erickson, and I live at 2724 2nd Avenue West in Hibbing. My husband and I purchased our home in Hibbing over 52 years ago and added steel siding the following year. Over the years, we have proudly kept our property attractive and neat. In the mid-1980s, we added a detached 2-stall garage with siding that matched our house. About 10 years ago, we had green architectural shingles added to the house and garage. I still live in that home, although my husband unfortunately passed of COVID last year in May. The morning of September 9th, 2024, a sanitation truck lifted my garage roof while collecting my garbage. I was told that the operator did the right thing and informed someone at Sanitation Services or Public Works of the accident. However, no department head or city employee notified me of the damage. A passerby informed me. My garage looked similar to an open tuna can, leaving large open spaces for squirrels and birds to enter. I began calling city department managers. I succeeded with, I believe, Tina Glad's help in getting city workers to close the open gaps with boards. On September 16th, the city's insurance adjuster viewed my garage. His name is Bob Bursell, and I give his phone here, and I have copies here. And I have the claim number. He noted the snapped main truss on the north end, the broken rafters, and the damaged shingles. He sent me a letter stating that the city was liable for the damages to my garage. Specifically, he allowed $4,666.76 minus a non-revocable depreciation of $713.03 for a net claim of $3,953.73. He advised me to choose a contractor and have him provide his own estimate. I found a local contractor willing to take the job. He said that the broken truss would be almost impossible to replace. It would require taking much of the garage apart. I think he planned to Band-Aid it in some ways, although in my opinion, I doubt it would ever be as strong as it had been before this event. I fear what problems heavy snow and ice buildup can pose to that roof in the future. He also said the adjuster was low in his pricing of shingles, that the green ones, which I have, are pricier. He believed the entire roof should be shingled. His estimate of $7,250 reflected that. Also, I will need to spend time moving things in my garage before the work begins and expect compensation for my time and efforts. Well, in the meantime, this Bob Bursell has been on vacation. He just returned, so in the meantime, I was working with his sub. My garbage can has been in the same place for decades, on top of the steam line between my garage and my neighbor's garage, with no truck operator damaging my property until now. What has changed? Is it the new workers have been hired who are lacking in sufficient training and experience for this job? Had I been alerted to this situation of new hirees, I would have gladly moved my dumpster to my driveway on collection day for the time being. But now that the damage is done, the city's insurance carrier has been quite hard to deal with, and weather for the winter is settling in. Why am I here and what do I want? First off, I have a local contractor who is ready and willing to repair my garage roof, but the city's insurance has not agreed to his estimate. I want to have my garage repaired before snow falls. The city's insurance is not willing to shingle both sides of the roof to make them match. Before September 9th, my garage had both roof sides matching and should be restored to that shape. I also dispute having any depreciation charges. In this event, my garage is not getting an upgrade. I am losing value on it.
Nancy, 30 seconds.
My house and garage roofs will no longer match. My property taxes have tripled in the last few years despite no improvements, just normal decline. In the spring, I spoke with the city assessor and he admitted that my taxes would increase further if I did any improvements, such as painting my 50-year-old siding. I would like my taxes lowered because of the garbage mishap. I would like my local contractor to begin the job ASAP. I would like my roof completely shingled, and I would like the depreciation eliminated. Thank you very much for your attention. I would like to add that I did receive calls back this week from Mayor Hyduk, my counselor Jay Hildebrand, and Tina Glad, and also I found a message from Greg Przinski on the phone today. You left it when I was at the election yesterday. I do appreciate their response and assistance, and I do thank you for listening.
Thank you, Nancy, and you did mention you had some copies.
I have copies.
Very good.
Thank you.
I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you. As you know, we cannot make any decisions, but we'll move your information forward.
I appreciate anything you can do. I'd like this done. Thanks.
Thank you. Would you pass that down? Okay, at this time, we'll move on to department committee reports. And first up, City Clerk, Deputy Administrator, Ms. Sepula.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight I bring before you a resolution accepting the Hoffman-Sackerman Family Foundation grant in the amount of $600. It supported the trunk or treat event at City Hall 2 weeks ago, and that paid for almost half of the pumpkins that we, I take that back, a quarter of the pumpkins that we paid for. And we had about 1,500 kids come through, and it's always been a great event in front of City Hall. The weather was perfect, and we had a lot of support from our community and counselors, and I am just asking for you to offer this resolution, and I will send a thank you to them.
All right, hearing what Ms. Sepula had to say, wishes of the council.
Motion to approve?
Motion approved by Councilor Fossil.
Support.
Support by Councilor Schweberger. And any discussion? It was a fantastic event. The weather was perfect, and it was crazy is what it was. So really, really good event. We had a lot of great comments. Hearing that, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
You bet. We move on to Community Development Director, Ms. Olivanti.
Excellent. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Tonight I'm offering resolution number 24-11-02 to commit the local match for the City Hall window project for City Hall window replacement. City Hall was constructed in 1922 and since that time has housed city government, state, and county tenants. Per an assessment completed in January of 2023 by ICS, DSGW, and CMTA, the building is in various states of disrepair and a thorough plan of rehabilitation was recommended. Upon receipt of the report, the city has been prioritizing and developing financing for phases of the project. In addition to the roof, the city has prioritized the building envelope, which includes the replacement of deficient windows on 3 sides of the building to regain the historic look and feel of the Georgian Revival style. All the Hibbing City Hall original wood exterior windows were partially replaced in 1984 with single glazed double hung sash replacements. These replacements made use of the original 1922 wood window frames. In 2019, the city removed the sash kits and original wood frames at the west elevation only and replaced them with an aluminum-clad H window. These windows feature some of the correct configurations. However, they are not accepted by the State Historic Preservation Office down at the state in order for the funding that we have currently to be able to use that particular window. So today then I sent you a breakdown of the total project costs to replace all of the windows. If we do a complete replacement, including the west elevation, it would cost $1.852 million, with the city's commitment required at $902,050. If we do just the remaining elevations, for the north, south, and east sides, the total cost is $1.746 or $1.747 million, with the city's requirement at $796,732. So you have a couple of options in front of you, but the resolution was written for the option of just the north, south, and east replacement at this time. So I'm standing for your consideration. If you'd like to amend the resolution to do all of them, you would have to amend the amount in them. Otherwise, I would ask that you approve the resolution as presented.
Okay, hearing what Ms. Olivanti had to say, wishes of the council.
Can I ask you a
Yes.
question? Are we looking for a either or are we just looking for the one recommendation?
I think you have to get a motion and a
Yep.
second on the table, and then we can have discussion, and then
Yes.
you can determine if you want to.
Resolution
amend it.
first, discussion
I'll make the
second.
motion, yeah.
All right, we have a motion by Counselor Bayless,
Support.
support by Counselor Fossil. Any discussion? So that's, if we want to discuss the four sides, I think, my opinion, these are great windows we have on the west side. It's what every county building has in St. Louis County. It just doesn't meet what the Historical Society of Minnesota is looking for. So there's nothing wrong with the windows. They're 2019, they're new,
Performing well.
performing very, very well. So my opinion and my thoughts are that we would just move forward with the three sides, south, north, and east.
Okay.
And members of the council, Mayor, if I may, the funding from the Historical Society has already been secured. The $600,000 that we've applied for, we applied for slightly more at the IRRR, but they called us back and indicated that they would approve a lesser amount of $600,000, depending upon your local match tonight, if we are interested in completing that project. So that will go before their board next week on the 12th.
Okay.
So
Very good,
the other
yes.
half of the funding is secured if you know, folks want to know that.
Yes,
Mayor?
Counselor.
Just one quick question. So for the 2019 windows, do we know what the life expectancy on those would be?
So what we've heard is that the 1984 windows are past their life expectancy, but I believe, did they say 30 years is reasonable?
Perfect. So I would say we're probably good on those.
The direction, the reason we went that route to start with was because that's what the county put in every one of their buildings. They had researched them, and every county building has those windows. So we decided to go that route. It's just when we got involved with funding from the Historical Society of Minnesota, they have just a little different. It's not that the windows aren't good, it's just there's certain criteria they look for.
Yep.
These St. Cloud windows that are in your packet tonight are the ones that have been installed in the historic
Hibbing.
high school in town.
Yep.
So there is a track record there as well, and the state, the IRRR's funding also requires, if you're in a historic building and it's been designated, that the repairs be done in keeping with the historic nature. So they would require that approval as well, so it's all kind of together.
So out of pocket, we're looking at $100,000 difference roughly.
That's correct if we don't do that
Correct.
fourth elevation,
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd make
The-
the motion. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, to give you more context, if we would go with H windows entirely, on the city hall, the difference of that is another $250,000, less. The problem is we have to fund the entire bill ourselves. So that's about a $1.6 million bill that the city would have to, foot. So this way we can get outside funding and have less than that, required. So that's a good bet for our taxpayers.
Okay. I'd make the motion to do the 3 sides and leave the west windows
Yep,
alone.
which we do have a motion and a second.
Oh, that's, okay.
So any more discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Betsy. Move on to City Engineer, Public Works Director, Mr. Story.
Mayor, Council, I'd like to offer Resolution 241103 to accept funds from the Commissioner of Transportation from a grant from the Minnesota State Transportation Fund related to bridge number 69L31 in the amount of $501,797.25. This is the Zim Road Bridge that we awarded a couple weeks ago to KGM Constructors. The total cost of the project is $562,773.25. So the city share is $60,976. So I'm asking to approve the resolution for these grant funds for this project.
Thank you. Hearing what Mr. Story had to say regarding funding for a bridge project. Wishes of the council.
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Counselor Schweberger.
Support.
Support by Counselor Hildebrand. Any other discussion? Jesse, you said they already started?
Mayor, Council, they will begin November 18th.
Okay.
That's when the box culverts will show up.
Okay.
So that's when they'll start.
Very good. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Jesse.
Mayor, Council, there's one other item that goes along with that. It was on the agenda, the previous one
Okay.
yesterday, the day before. It's just the grant agreement for these funds that match the resolution.
Okay.
So I'd like to have an approval of the grant agreement so we can get that signed, get it out to MnDOT, so we can get this project going.
Very good.
And the grant agreement is in your packet.
Very good. So we have a request for grant agreement. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve?
Motion approved by Counselor Fossil.
Support.
Support by Counselor Bayless. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Move on to building official, Mr. Green.
Mayor and Council, this is a request for a home business on Bunker Road. The business would be an ATV repair and part sales. The business would take place in an existing garage on the property where the home is. The property is completely screened from all neighboring property. There was no one speaking against this, and the Planning Commission did recommend approval. It's an interim use permit, and that does not go with the property if they sell or quit the business. Normally, if they sell, the business would go with the property like a conditional use, but with an interim, no, then it ceases. They did have to put a time limit on, and they all agreed on 20 years.
Very good. So we're looking for a motion for interim use permit request of Tiffany Schlepper Grill for ATV home repair business. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Counselor Bayless.
Support.
Support by Counselor Hildebrand. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thanks, Pat.
Thank you.
We move on to City Service Director, Mr. Rowland.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Tonight we have a presentation for you. We have the results of our feasibility study that we just completed for our indoor recreation center in Hibbing. We've spent the last 7 to 8 months working with JLG Architects, Ballard King and Associates, and Kraus Anderson to finish out this feasibility study. So we'll get that going. We'll try and hit on some of the high points and the process that we went through, and then also some next steps along the way. So, and then just a reminder for everybody and folks at home that this was a part of our strategic initiative and our core goals as a city council and staff that we set forth for this year, which is a well-rounded community with strong quality of life, with modern facilities for recreation and wellness, and making the city as a healthy place for families to want to live. So we just took the next step in that process, and here are the results for you. So I'll invite Adam up.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, good evening, Mayor, Council. Thank you for your time tonight. Let's see if we get the presentation queued up here. Very good. Just like Nick mentioned, my name is Adam Barnett. I'm a principal architect with JLG Architects in our sports studio. We've got a presentation this evening that's going to kind of give you a high-level summary of the findings from our study. Maybe you got the lengthy document that's got all the backup. We're happy to answer any questions you might have tonight as we go through this here. So. Let me try and reload this here. Sorry for the. All right. Oh. What's that? It's just, yeah. That's why you get here early and get all these bugs out, and then it doesn't work, of course. So I'll roll with it like this. Hopefully this works.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. So overview of this study, like Nick mentioned, the purpose of this was to identify community gaps and needs specific to indoor recreation across the community of Hibbing and the region. We looked at a market and demographic analysis of Hibbing and the region. Then we identified programming for a potential facility and concept solutions. And then we included as kind of the final piece, the financial modeling, which I'll get to here. So Nick mentioned the study team, JLG Architects, Ballard King. They do the analysis, market analysis. We had B32. They are ice refrigeration experts. They did some analysis on the systems, on the arenas in town, and then Kraus Anderson. And then on the city side, Nick and a number of the team members with your city leadership here. We started this study early last spring, around March. Some of the key tasks there, you kind of see the timeline, user group meetings, community surveys, concept work, and then just wrapping up in October with the project estimating. So like Nick said, about a 7 or 8 month process for the overall study. The first piece was the market and demographics analysis. Ballard King investigated this. You can see the map there, kind of the different regions looking at kind of the primary service area with Hibbing proper, the secondary service area, which is kind of that Iron Range piece there, and then the third, kind of the tertiary, the largest, that area is more so looking at specific kind of facilities and lack thereof. We identified that there is really no large field house spaces within that largest service area, so that was one consideration with the study. Study looks at, or the analysis looks at the population trends, size, age, income, all those factors, facility trends and the available access within the market and all those sorts of things. Overall, findings were good. The population, looking at those primary and secondary areas, support some sort of new facility with the minor consideration that overall there's been a slow decline in the population, but the numbers would still support a project. We spent about 2 full days conducting stakeholder meetings in town, talking to various groups from seniors to youth sports organizations, school district, etc. Some of the key findings from those conversations, overall there was a general consensus that there's a lack of indoor recreation opportunities within the community. So think spaces to use and be active from the 9 months out of the year typically that we see in Minnesota that are challenging to be outdoors. The school district has facilities that are predominantly programmed and utilized by the district, leaving not much time for others in the community. An interesting stat that roughly only 10% of district students participate in sports. So it's really a small number of people in the community that have access and are really utilizing those spaces. Young families do not have good opportunities for indoor recreation. Senior citizens, disabled individuals don't have easy access or access to spaces. There's a desire for large, open volume spaces supporting free play and unprogrammed activities, things like a field house or large gymnasium. I heard a lot of desire for an indoor walking track. That's a big one in a lot of communities. We heard that from a lot of the folks in your community. And then we also heard not so much recreation focus, but a desire for modern meeting and event space in the city of Hibbing. Right now, it sounded like a lot of people are going outside of your community. So although it's not necessarily recreation, that's maybe some consideration as well for that piece. Then we conducted a community survey online. We yielded almost 900 total responses, majority of which were Hibbing residents. Folks stating 62% stated that their needs are not met currently for indoor recreation, with 26% additionally saying their needs are only partially met. 67% of respondents stated they would use an indoor recreation facility multiple times per week. Some of the amenities that came back as the highest priority included aquatics, open space, either gym or turf, indoor playground, and that walking track. Ice-related activities scored relatively low overall. A majority of the respondents were willing to pay a fee to access or use a potential facility, and 90% of respondents were in support of sales tax or property tax increase to support a facility on top of other potential funding sources. So we took all this information after listening to the stakeholders and results from the survey, and we started to put together what we call a project program that kind of identifies the potential spaces that would go within a project.
Hello.
We call this, this is kind of the wish list at this point in a project where it's very early, kind of hearing what are all the things that are desired. You can see that court space, walking, running track, indoor turf space, the playground. General fitness space, certainly not intended to compete with other fitness spaces in town, but with a facility like this, if you're offering family memberships, you typically want to have some sort of treadmills or bikes or free weights so parents can do that while kids are doing other things in the facility. Typically, it's a different demographic than the folks going to your private fitness facilities in town. And then you'll see that we kind of separated out the aquatic space and that large event space and looked at those through somewhat different lens, specifically because they are typically more expensive spaces to construct and also more expensive to operate. So we kind of looked at those throughout the study as kind of a separate piece, which you'll see. So then once we had that program, we started to look at simple space diagrams. How could spaces lay out in a potential building project? And then we conducted test fits. So we kind of identified what is that footprint needed for a potential project. And then we looked at a number of sites within the community. You can kind of see on this map, I know it's small. But of the sites we looked at, the 8 or 9, the 3 that kind of jumped out at our team were the Lincoln School site, the Greenhaven site, and then the Vic Power site as being some great opportunities just with their proximity to vehicle circulation, pedestrian circulation, and then Vic Power could have a really great opportunity for a potential recreation campus with the outdoor activities there, as well as opportunity for expansion. Something we see with these facilities a lot and try to plan in is 10 or 15 years down the road, they're often looking at additional program components. From that, we generated a little bit more refined building plan, so you can see what's shown here. So on the left would be the main floor. We have a large indoor field house space that could support indoor baseball activities, training, U10 size soccer pitch, batting cages, golf cages, inflatables, you name it. A couple of basketball courts, gymnasium, an indoor playground, and then some of the support space, some party rooms. That could be rentals for those large spaces. And then the upper level on the right, you can see that walking track that would ring those 2 volume spaces, a group fitness room, and then some support space, and then a little bit of that just general fitness space on the plan there. We did some conceptual design at what a potential facility could look like, just thinking in mind to kind of the industrial history of Hibbing. So looking at a lot of steel, there's some stone that kind of fits with the northern Minnesota vernacular, as well as some metal panels on the exterior. Simply just kind of an idea generation. What could a vision look like for a potential facility if this were to move forward? And then some other pieces of the study. I mentioned B32 ICE engineers. They came and looked at both the systems at the Memorial Arena and the Fairgrounds Arena. Looking at the Memorial, looked at suggestions of replacing the main floor and the dashers, a number of life safety enhancements to the refrigeration room, things like eye wash, rated door assemblies, just to get it up to code. And then recognize that the overall system is roughly 33 years old. Kudos to your community and staff for taking care of that system and maintaining it, as they typically have a 25-year lifespan, but that would be something to think about that is kind of approaching and beyond its serviceable life. Consider replacement. The Fairgrounds Arena is a little bit of a different animal with equipment that's significantly older, 50 years on the ice and 42 on the floor. The refrigeration room has a number of significant building code concerns and has an old R22 system. So if you read the report, I think it's strongly recommended to correct some of those things in the near future. I know it's not your guys' building necessarily, but the information's in there. And then just replacement of systems in their entirety, and the safety improvements at that facility should be considered.
Question, on the Memorial Arena, you said main floor dasher replacement. Are you talking just about dasher replacement or replacing the whole floor?
So the floor is starting to reach the end of its life. I believe it's cast iron pipe in there, which can go for a long time, but I think it was just noted that it's getting to be older on the ice sheet, I believe, and then the dashers as well. So
Okay, I didn't think that was,
I believe
very good.
the currently floor is 10 years old.
Correct.
The memorial side though is older, I believe.
Correct.
Yep. Yeah, Scott Ward from B32, he did say the arena floor and the mechanical is in good shape, yet it can still go, a little while, but the lifespan of those components are roughly 25 years. So we just more have to start budgeting for the next 10 years, thinking of replacement in the next 10 years. It's not like they're gonna go tomorrow, hopefully, knock on wood, but just noting that we are getting up to that 35, 40 years old soon, that we should start for replacement. It's not a you need to replace this tomorrow type of thing.
Right.
But
I don't think there's been any leaks observed or anything like that yet. It's really just kind of a fair weather warning that it's approaching the life. So then I mentioned kind of the financial analysis of the community center portion. So we looked at capital costs for the proposed project. That phase 1 community center, which would be kind of those main program pieces, less the pool and the event center. At total project cost for that penciled out at around $41 million. I will say that again, that is total project cost, so that is all of your engineering, inspections, FF&E, that's the all-in number. And this is also escalated out to 2027. So we're not gonna tell you what it costs to build now, because that's gonna change in 2.5, 3 years. Could you build this for more? Yes. Could you build this for less? Absolutely, as well. We priced this at kind of a 50-year building standard, so precast concrete panels for the large boxes is what we were figuring. Steel frame construction for kind of the 2-story piece. This isn't just planned to be a metal building, but if you wanted to get that number down, there's ways to do that you could consider. So looking at if you were to add the pool and the banquet center, that would be roughly $14 million total project cost to incorporate that piece. And then on the operations side, factor in a lot of the information from the market and demographics analysis. And this penciled out roughly at 79% cost recovery for the phase 1 piece. And then if you were to include the phase 2 and look at that full build out, it drops a little bit to 77%. So these are intended to be tools to help you plan. I'm not going to stand here and Sean from Kraus Anderson is going to stand here and tell you, yep, it's $41 million. It's just, like I said, it's kind of to help you plan if you were to take this further. So, with that, the summary of kind of the whole project would be to look at a community center of that base scope, and then consider those future phases. And then again, looking at a site, I mentioned we really like the Big Power site, but we would note that if this were to go further, we would suggest further evaluation on the site. Looking at things like existing infrastructure, geotechnical, and really understanding, because those things would affect the site and the cost to develop it and that sort of thing. This was just kind of a high level, looking at some adjacencies and what would be a benefit for this project. Okay, so as part of this, we also had some additional considerations, some other things that we looked at a very high level. And that one of those was being the Memorial Arena, and just looking at some of the challenges with that building and how it's used and utilized. We recognize that there's a previous study now there's probably upwards of roughly $30 million of capital improvements that were identified for that facility. There's a number of spaces that are either oversized or underutilized within the building, spaces that are outdated, difficult to access for people in the community. And then even, like the museum is a really great museum and a great asset, but it's in a terrible location buried down in the basement of that building. So, some things that we looked at, our team would really suggest that to maximize its efficiency, making that an ICE-only building and trying getting some of those underutilized spaces or functions out of there. So right-sizing some spaces, repurpose some of the lower-level spaces that are underutilized, and look at opportunities for maybe relocating the museum and the veteran space to spaces that are more right-sized, more accessible for seniors, and to get more visibility for the museum. So, we did do a very, very high-level kind of space plan of one option and what could happen with that. This would be if the fairgrounds arena was to come completely offline. You could look at adding a second ice sheet to this facility. Here we're suggesting that, we heard that kind of the curling demographic is kind of slowly in decline, and they could operate with 5 sheets. So this option looked at kind of reconstructing a curling center that is right sized for that group, and then putting the second ice sheet kind of where that sits now. That would allow the whole facility to sit on the block that it's on and not have to affect the streets. You could have another entry point that's facing the majority of the parking, and all the while kind of retain that historic facade by the main entry now, and potential admin space that Nick's team is using now that could remain for meeting space, or maybe that becomes right sized for the veterans. Again, this is just one concept, kind of high level, what could happen. We would recommend that a deeper study happen on that facility once you guys kind of figure out maybe where you want to go with the recreation and that sort of thing. And certainly this would require a lot of input and participation from the community, probably not only financially with your ICE users, but also the various groups that might have stake in this building or interests. So with that, kind of the last things, if you were to kind of look at where you go from here at next steps, always need to consider facility ownership and operations. Is there potential partnerships like the YMCA or those types of organizations? Looking at project funding and capacity, what are the different buckets and what could be the capacity of those? Long-term operations funding, it's always something to consider early on when you're planning this, and then just kind of that project site and location and where that could go. So, with that, I'd love to open it up if there's any other questions.
Councilors, thank you so much for the presentation. Councilors, any questions?
I just have one.
Yes.
I'm just curious in your estimates on there. I know this is a really high level view of this, but what did you estimate as far as, like heating sources, things like that? Did you just estimate for gas and rooftop HVAC or what?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, the large volume spaces would typically be rooftop package units. That's the most efficient, most economical. They seem to work well in those spaces. And probably something similar for the rest of the facility. Sometimes if there's a lot of smaller spaces, sometimes we'll get into like a VAV system where you've got some zones. But for the most part, it's probably kind of those larger prepackaged rooftop units.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Counselors, any other questions? Very good.
Okay.
Hearing none, I appreciate it. Thank you so
Yep.
much for the presentation.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, at this time, we will move on to Superintendent Wastewater, Mr. Hurd.
Mayor, council members, I'm just coming here and to get your permission to sign a uninterruptible commercial and industrial generator program with Lake Country Power. We are currently enrolled in this right now, and what it does is it lets Lake Country Power pull the wastewater plant off the grid during high use times. And what that entails is they will call us and tell us that they're gonna pull us off. They remotely start our generator, and then they usually run for about 6 hours. And the cost for this is, we pay the fuel for the first 80 hours, and then after that, we split it 50-50 with them. Historically, the savings on that is about $90,000 a year plus. Last year, this past year, they ran the generator for 18 hours only. So it's a really good program for us. We get a huge savings for that. And the only penalty is if they call for that generator and it doesn't start 3 times, you end up just paying the full price. So there's like no downside to this. So I'm just asking permission to sign the lease, sign the program for next year.
Okay, hearing what Mr. Hurd had to say regarding signing an agreement with industrial generator program with Lake Country Power.
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Counselor Bayless,
Support.
support by Counselor Whitney. Dave, when did we just replace, within the last 10 years or 20 years, or replaced 15 years maybe, we replaced that generator out at your waste treatment plant, correct?
Yes, in 2013, when we put our low-level mercury building, filter
Okay.
building in, we upgraded from a 7,500 kilowatt to a 1,000 kilowatt generator.
Very good. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Move on to Mr. McKinney, Fleet Manager.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. Here tonight to, excuse me, offer resolution number 24-11-04, approving the finance to lease agreement for the 7 motor graders for Public Works.
Okay. Wishes of council for greater rentals. Lease.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Counselor Fossil.
Support.
Support by Counselor Schweberger. Joe, when will we, if this is approved, when will we have those in hand?
We have them in hand now.
You have them in
They
hand
have
right
been
now?
delivered and they're ready to go. Yep.
Very good. All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Move on to Mr. Prasinski. Anything from your desk?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, City Council, one item from my office this evening. I want to say thank you to city staff, especially our election judges from yesterday's election. There are so many departments that have a hand in putting that election on. Some of them are full-time, some of them are part-time, and they come in specifically for the election. And to give a little bit of context, what they did yesterday, we had 8,371 of our 9,754 registered voters come through the doors, which is about an 85, almost 86% turnout. So it's pretty neat. It also looked very easy. The lines weren't long. There were some lines, but they weren't real long. But that demonstrates how well it was planned out. It looks easy, but it's a lot of coordinating, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of training to roll that out for our community. So again, I want to say thank you to our city staff and our election judges for that. So
Very good.
That's all I have from my office this
I
evening.
think as a council, we second that for sure. Thank you so much. All right, at this time, we'll move on to bids and quotes. The first bids and quotes is Ms. Sepla.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight I bring before you, it would be to approve the leases from Excel Business Systems for the police, building and housing, and then our administration offices. They were able to keep the building and housing, I think it went up $5 per month. The police stayed the same, and we went up about $18 per month, but we are able to stay relatively comparable to what we're paying right now for a brand-new machine. After a few years, it just ends up being a little slower at the end, and they've taken very good care of us. But the police department, it would be $183.15 with a 60-month lease. Building and housing is $124.21 with a 60-month lease, and the administration would be $235.64 with a 60-month lease. And he gave me the quote with all of them on one.
Okay. So as I'm looking at this, Andy, would I have to go independently, or can I as A, B, and C, or can we have it as one?
Unless an individual council member wants to address one particular item, I think you could take them all in one.
All at once?
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. So at this time, I'm looking for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Counselor Schweberger.
Support.
Support by Counselor Fossil. Any discussion?
Mayor?
Yes.
Candy, are these leases for computers?
No, these are for our copy machines.
Oh.
So we have a few throughout the city, and at City Hall here, we have one in building and housing, we have one in administration, where 5 of us use the same one, and then engineering has a smaller one, and finance and building and housing. So
This is a month, per month?
per month, yes.
Got it, thanks.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Candy.
Thank you.
Move on again to City Service Director, Mr. Rolla.
Do I have another one?
Oh, I'm sorry,
Sorry.
B. You're right, you do.
Before you, I have 2 bills for the new server system. As we've been implementing everything, now we are to the software piece of it. And one of them, there are 3-year programs for our Veeam, which is protecting all of our data. As you remember earlier in the year, we did lose some data, so that was unfortunate. And the other one is for the Microsoft Windows for 48 users. We went with the 3-year because it was a lot cheaper. So the total is $15,794.04, and I'm looking for approval, please.
That was $15,794.04.
Yep.
All right, hearing what Ms. Sepla had to say, wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Counselor Bayless.
Support.
Support by Counselor Whitney. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Arella.
Thank you. You almost caught me sleeping there. Next up here, I have an operating request from the Hibbing Tourist Center. As you know, they've faced operational challenges this year because of the Mindview building construction and the delays with that project. Our original completion date was supposed to be in January, and we did not get a completion until just recently. So their entire summer season up there was non-existent, and they didn't have a trailer up there to sell their goods and stuff. So it put a pretty large deficit in their bottom line to finish out the year. So they have a request, it's in your packet here tonight. They're asking for $10,000 to help them with operational expenses to get through this season. And then they foresee that next year with the buildings open and having their gift shop open, more traffic up there, sales increase, and then they would be on their own again after that. But Right now, I have Joe Keys here, their accountant, if you have any specific questions to ask of them. But otherwise, yeah, if there's any other questions, let us know.
All right. Mr. Keys, did we need him up, or?
If there's any specific
Okay,
questions you
very
want to
good.
address
Just if
them,
there's questions.
otherwise,
So we're looking for a request to support the tourist center in the amount of $10,000 due to lack of availability during the construction season this year. Wishes of the council.
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Councilor Schweberger, supported by Councilor Bayless. Any discussion? Very good. Mr. Keys, I really appreciate your printout that you sent to us with an explanation. So at this time, if there's no other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you so much. Move on to Police Chief, Mr. Esty.
Mayor and Council, good evening. I got 3 items for you tonight, equipment related, but first I'd just like to make a quick comment. I'd like to thank all the city staff that put in countless hours for our sales tax referendum, specifically Candy and Kelly. They went above and beyond and did a lot of work on the inside to really pull this off. And I want to thank our citizens as well for understanding where we're coming from and moving our city forward for a new public safety building. So, thank you.
You bet.
Item 1 is to approve squad upfitting to enforcement lighting in the amount of $16,500. This was to replace damaged squad number 2.
Okay, hearing what Mr. Esty had to say regarding 16.5 for replacement of damaged H2. Wishes of council.
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Councilor Bayless. Support. Support by Councilor Hildebrand. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. B.
B is to approve the purchase of a 2024 Chevrolet Traverse in the amount of $44,488. This vehicle is in stock and ready to be picked up. We'll be using our public safety funds to purchase this vehicle.
Okay, so we're looking for approval for 44,488 for a new Chevy Traverse for the police department, being supported by outside funding. Wish of the council.
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Councilor Whitney.
Support.
Support by Councilor Fossil. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. C, Chief.
And then the last one is to purchase a 2024 Chevrolet pickup from North Country GM in the amount of $50,634.68. That's currently in stock as well and under state bid, and we will use public safety funds for that as well.
Very good. Hearing what Mr. Esty had to say, wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Councilor Bayless.
Support.
Support by Councilor Fossil. Schweberger, I'm sorry. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Steve. Move on to Superintendent Wastewater, Mr. Hurd.
Mayor, council members, I got a bid for our, one of our lift pumps. We have 6 of these, and this will be our 5th one to rebuild, so we'll have one more after this. I sent it out to the 3 people who have done our pumps before, and only one of them sent back. We have kind of a real tight window when we can get this done. So the only one that sent back was Applied Industrial Technologies, and that was in the amount of $70,259.80.
Very good. Hearing what Mr. Hurd had to say regarding rebuilding pump 8, wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Councilor Whitney. Support. Support by Councilor Hildebrand. Are these pumps all on a rotating basis, Dave? I mean,
Yes, well, some of them are. 2 of them are our first stage ones. We rotate those every day.
Okay.
They will switch. The other 4, 2 of them are for our second stage and 2 of them are for our third stage. And during high flow events, we have to use both of them to keep up with the one pump from our first stage.
Okay.
So otherwise, we do alternate them daily.
And I asked a question just so residents can understand the operation you have down there, so I appreciate that. All right, Any other, yes, discussion?
One question, Steve. What's that pump cost new? So the rebuild 70K roughly?
Last year, they were 145,000, I believe,
Okay.
for the one.
In the length that a pump lasts on a rebuild, about,
These ones were put in 2004.
okay, so that's
So,
pretty good. That's
Yeah, we got
20 years.
20 years out of them.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Okay, so we move on to nothing for boards, commissions, license and permits. Approve the 2025 brew pub license of Boomtown Brewery and Woodfire Grill. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Counselor Bayless,
Support.
support by Counselor Whitney. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Approve the 2024-2025 2 AM liquor license.
Mayor?
Wishes of the council.
Mayor, that's for the Do You.
That's for the do, yeah, it's not, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, for the do you, wishes of the council.
Motion to approve?
Motion approved by Counselor Fossil,
Support.
support by Counselor Bayless. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. 3, offer resolution number 24-11-05, supporting the Hibbing Elks Lodge number 1022, and allowing the Virginia Elks 1003 to conduct charitable gambling at the Hibbing Elks Lodge at 1926 4th Avenue East in Hibbing, Minnesota. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Counselor Bayless.
Support.
Support by Counselor Whitney. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. 4, approve the raffle permit application request of the Algonquin Youth Activities Association, AYAA, to hold a raffle on Tuesday, March 25th, 2025, at the Algonquin Club. Wishes of the council.
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Counselor Schweberger. Support. Support by Counselor Hildebrand. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Last, approve the raffle permit application of request of the CAG Foundation to hold their raffle at City Auto Glass on Friday, April 3rd, 2024. Wishes of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Counselor Whitney.
Support.
Support by Counselor Fossil. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Mayor, can I
Yes.
just clarify that? Is that April 30th, 2025?
Yes, that should be 2025, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
We'll make that correction, April 2025. We still have the motion, still have the second.
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Could I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
So moved by Counselor Bayless. Support. Support by Counselor Hildebrand. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you.